Fox 2 presents Hancock and Kelley.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Hancock and Kelley right here on Fox 2. I'm Kim Hudson. Joining me, we have John Hancock on the right. Good morning, John.
Good morning. How is everybody?
Everybody's good. And we also have Michael Kelley on the left. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, guys. What a glorious day.
It is, absolutely. But last week, it was a rough one. So let's get right to it. Last week was full of protests in Minnesota, and there are more across the country. Protesters say they want to see a big change in how police work. But these latest marches are not about the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis last summer. These are about another black man who died after being shot by an officer in another town about 20 miles away. The family and supporters of 20-year-old Daunte Wright in Brooklyn Center, well, they'll be just a few of millions watching the Derek Chauvin trial, which could be in its final days. Now, that former Minneapolis police officer faces 2 murder charges and a manslaughter charge. He was caught on camera kneeling on George Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes before Floyd died. Closing arguments should start tomorrow, but it is Wright's death that has a local police department looking at their own procedures. The officer who shot Wright was wearing a body camera. She yelled taser 3 times before shooting Wright with her pistol instead. She said she made a mistake, but she's facing manslaughter charges herself. Fox 2's Rocky Madden visited that local department trying to make sure that never happens on their watch.
It just gives us that extra edge, like I said, to avoid a tragic mistake.
Right now, St. Anne police officers have a black handgun and black taser. Soon all the tasers will be bright yellow.
So when it's pulled, you hope that you'll see the yellow and know that that is the taser versus black being our sidearm.
Sir, when I talk to you, take your hands out of your pocket for me.
St. Anne officers also use a video computer training system several times a year to teach officers when to pull a gun or a taser and when to fire it, or don't pull out any weapon at all. Cops never know if a suspect is armed with a gun, will lunge at them with a knife, or offer identification.
That's my house.
You have to make a split-second decision, which could mean life or death for the suspect or for yourself or possibly anyone else around.
St. Anne police claim to be only one of 2 departments in the county that has a mental health and diversity coordinator.
I've seen tremendous progress, not only from the officers themselves, but individuals in the community.
JULIUS PHILLIPS teaches officers about bias, inclusion, and the value of inclusion. And that and recent national events can lead to tough conversations which require
understanding and respecting people's opinions, their backgrounds, their differences, and putting that together to learn and make an environment where everyone can be included.
The captain says since the diversity coordinator came on board here at the police department, the number of complaints from citizens has dropped. In St. Anne, Rocky Madden, Fox 2 News.
Now let's bring in John Hancock and Michael Kelley. Michael, go ahead and start with you. It sounds like St. Anne is at least starting to make some real changes, some measurable changes in making sure that the people they police survive encounters with their officers. Do you think these changes will be enough to make sure more people feel safer around their officers?
Potentially, but it's not enough. I mean, there's so much more that has to be done. This is such a tragic story that came out of Minnesota. And, you know, it seems to me to be a common sense reform to have the tasers be a separate color of the gun. Whether or not this is an accident is a question. You can believe it's an accident, but an accident like this, when you're dealing with the life of another human being, is inexcusable. And reforms are on the way.
John, Ferguson became a household name after Mike Brown was killed, but it was George Floyd that triggered protests that clogged the streets in downtown St. Louis. Do you think these marchers are going to move the needle towards safer policing that the protesters were calling for here in St. Louis?
Well, I do think we need safer policing. And I hope that I am certain that every department in our area are undergoing internal, thoughtful reviews about their procedures. You know, in the Daunte case in Minnesota, though, it wasn't the procedures that were at fault. You know, I think the use of a taser if somebody is fleeing an arrest is probably about right. The problem, of course, you have is that the officer committed gross criminal negligence that is probably going to result in a manslaughter conviction and should But that was a case where, the procedures themselves were not the problem. And look, this is a very difficult, the interaction of police and the community is fraught with peril on both sides. And it's a difficult situation, but certainly the kind of loss of life we're seeing requires these procedures to be addressed. There's a bill in Missouri that would ban the chokehold. I think that's a prudent step in the right direction. So there are things that can and should be done.
Well, it's not just about the arrest, right? So, Michael, let's talk about what happens after the arrest. Let's talk about jailing. The protests seem to stop for a second in the streets here in the area, but they seem to move into the St. Louis City Justice Center. What do you think Mayor-elect Tashara Jones needs to do about local corrections to make that environment safer for the detainees, the staff, and the community, especially seeing how we have video of the detainees breaking out of their windows literally?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And well, the first and biggest step the city could make is get locks that actually work. I know that sounds laughable, but that's the case right now, and we're waiting for those locks to be replaced. As it relates to Mayor-elect Jones, I think she started that process by choosing former Chief Daniel Isom to lead her crime division. I think is a real solid step in the right direction. This is a man who has a great understanding of the crime problem we have in St. Louis, but also the disparities and equities that take place when it comes to policing. And I look for Chief Isom to really be a strong difference maker for the incoming mayor.
John, you mentioned earlier about procedures. People in Chicago protested after police body camera video from there shows an officer shooting and killing a 13-year-old, where the video shows Adam Toledo, who is Latinx, with his hands in the air. Policing seems to be a glacier that's slow to move and change. Do you think that these measures, including that bill that's going through the Missouri legislature, do you think that they're likely to change things here in the St. Louis area anytime soon?
Well, you hope things start moving in the right direction. I personally I don't have an issue with the Chicago shooting. You've got a kid. And the police don't know it's a kid. They know that shots are being fired in downtown Chicago at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And the police arrive on the scene. The suspect flees, has a gun, and then the police officer commands, and the police officer in that split second does not know that the guy wasn't armed at that point. What he does know is that he's been shooting the weapon and he's fleeing the scene. So, do you fault the police officer in that split second life or death decision? I don't, I have a real hard time making a judgment call on behalf of that police officer. And getting back to the Justice Center in St. Louis, the biggest problem we've got there is that some of these folks have been waiting for years to get their cases into court. That is inexcusable. And you can understand the frustration of somebody that's incarcerated who can't get their day in court. That's got to get addressed.
Michael, your thoughts on the shooting in Chicago, because that is something that we hear a lot here in St. Louis, which is, I only had a split second. It was a fear of my life. I did what I had to do to protect myself and that of the community. What do you think about that?
Well, policing is a scary business to be in right now. Let's not forget that suspect was running away from the officers. And maybe that's something we need to deal with culturally too. I understand why people might be afraid of the officers, but it's only compounding the issue that we have. Look, training is going to be so important over the next several years as we really try to find a new path forward and dealing with crime and reestablishing a lot of the trust that needs to take place.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. Let's go ahead and take a break real quick. We're going to head to the place where it all comes from in the next segment. D.C. Will the Supreme Court get new members? What will the Senate look like after the next elections? And will the nation's capital ever be welcome to the cool kids table in the section called statehood? We ask Hancock and Kelley in just a few.
If you try to run away, I'm gonna bring you back. I'm here to keep all the speeders driving slow. I'm just doing my job on the highway patrol.